What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Mewzings Podcast studio. Once again with Mr. Sam McClurg, another returning guest. How you doing today, Sam?
I'm doing all right, Mr. James 300 Foster.
Oh,
See what I
somebody
did?
somebody followed my personal account.
I'm a cyber sleuth.
There you go. You saw that you're probably questioning, like everybody else, how and why is this guy into comics and art and stuff, right?
I mean, to some extent, our last time that we chatted, we had like that 15-20 minute chat that we did after the fact, and we talked about
Yeah.
jujitsu and this and that. So it kind of had my wheels spinning a little bit about
So
maybe studying, possibly.
I like it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a guest on the other day and after we got off air, he's like, I meant to ask you, like, how did you get into, like, you're just jujitsu and arm wrestling guy? He's like, how did you get into comics and art? I'm like, bro, that was before all the jujitsu and arm wrestling that I was into comics and art. I thought I was going to be a pro comic book artist. That was the dream, you know?
Well, you still can be. Nobody's stopping you.
Exactly. And I can work on some little pinups and some things for, a gentleman that I might be talking to right now.
Yeah,
So there's
dude,
always opportunity.
for sure.
So what have you been up to since we last chatted?
Uh, Busy, as I'm sure everybody else has been.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I got back from Pittsburgh. I was tabling at Eddie Con over last weekend.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so I just got back on Wednesday, just a couple of days ago. So I was out there for an entire week. Crazy convention, dude. It was awesome, actually.
Lots of love in the room.
Yeah, so it's like all of the conventions I've ever tabled before, it's like that one for sure is obviously way more indie focused. So that's the big drive behind that convention. But it's just
Yeah.
how it's ran. It's like perfect. Like there were no kinks, like no bumps in the roads. Like they gave us meals. They gave us
Oh, wow.
hangouts, so on and so forth. So yeah, like they took good care of us. Like they walked around and would ask, like, "Hey, do you need anything?" So on and so forth. Like get you a bottle of water. Like, do you want some food? Like all sorts of stuff. So it's like they take good care of people there for sure.
So very professional.
Yeah, it's by far like the best con I've ever been to. Not only for like making money, networking, but just like I said, like the way that you get treated by the piss poor families who runs it. So it's like they know what they're doing over there. So it's like if anybody is ever in the interest of tabling ADP Con or maybe any other future cons that they might be organizing, it's like I highly recommend it because they know what's up.
Yeah, that's so cool that they're continuing his legacy too.
Yeah, his basically his entire family runs the table. So like his dad's over there, his mom, all of his sisters, in-laws, you name it, they're all there. His dad was like in a full-on Def Jam jumpsuit and had like gold chains on,
Oh,
like a
wow.
bucket hat, and like the whole like hip hop look. It was, and this dude's probably 70, if not more than that. Just
Easily, yeah.
yeah, cool little dude just running around, just shooting the shit with people talking comics. But yeah, dude, it was an amazing weekend. Like the very first day I was there, it was the day before the con, and as I would, I'm going through all the shops and digging through stuff. And I went to Ides, and that shop is 4 levels, so it's like down in the basement, it's like all
Oh,
organized
damn.
back issues, and then like middle floor, it's just like dollar bins, and they're not organized, so it's like you have to dig to actually find stuff in them. And
Okay.
that's where I get off. And then it's like third
The
floor is a record
treasure.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Like they have an elevator in that building to get around in the comic shop.
That's
um,
amazing, man.
yeah, it's amazing. Unfortunately, like I wanted to film in there, and they don't allow filming in that store at all. So they shot that
Gotcha.
down. But I was in there for all of 5 minutes, and Gemma Food walked in, Michelle Fife walked in, West Coast Dave walked in, uh, Brian Moss was there, and Jim Rugg. All
Wow.
five of them walked in at the same time. Um, and I didn't even realize. And I had my head down just digging, and my girlfriend was like, "Hey, I think Dave and Jim's behind you." And I turned around and both of them were like heads down digging as well. And I smacked my hands down on the long boxes like right in front of them. Both of them like jumped up and they got scared a little bit and saw it was me. Of course, we
That's
all
amazing.
hugged and shot the shit a
Yeah.
little bit. But yeah, I wasn't even there for all of 5 minutes and ran into everybody. And we just kind of that rest of that day, we just went around Pittsburgh to all the shops, and I bailed out because they ended up driving to Ohio. So there's a comics chain in Pittsburgh. It's called New Dimension Comics, and they have like 3 locations, and they're massive. And one of them is in the
Okay.
Ohio Valley Mall, which is like on the border. And I was like, I'm not driving out there because I literally just came from that direction. So I was like, I'm good driving another 2 or 3 hours today. So I ended up going.
Yeah.
I don't know who Dan is over at Stand Up Records. But he has a
I
YouTube
feel
channel.
like I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's super active in West Coast Dave's community, but he runs a stand-up comedy record label. It's like David Cross is on his record label and a couple other people. So I
Okay.
pretty much hung out with him for the rest of the day. We went to a bakery and got donuts and kind of just sat outside in the Pittsburgh sidewalk and just talked comics and business and whatever else. So yeah, dude, it was awesome.
You you had to be in heaven.
Yeah, dude, I was, and it's like even the days of the cons, it's like I got to go talk to Kazra, the guy that runs OAX and Original Art Expo and all that kind of stuff, and IC3. So just like meeting all the big headwigs and actually putting the name to face because I've like talked through them through the internet, you know what I mean? But it's way different when you actually get to meet somebody in person and shoot the shit with them a
Oh
little bit.
yeah,
So yeah,
for sure. Um, Going back to what you were talking about with Ed's family and like them being so involved with the con and everything,
sure.
um, were they into that side of things prior to his passing, or has this been something that has developed more since his passing that they've gotten involved with the community and seen just how much love the community had for him, had or has, I should say, still has for him?
Yeah, so from my understanding, it all comes from after he had passed, and they spun up the Legacy, the Ed Piskor Legacy LLC earlier this year. So they just started that business up, and eventually they're going to have like a site and everything. They're going to start. They told me that they might start selling art, which they did sell art at
Okay.
the convention, and West Coast Dave bought all of it. So
Of course he did.
yeah. And so it's like there was an auction, and one of his pieces was the X-Men Grand Design corner box art, and
Oh, damn.
it started at like $50, and then it jumped up to 250, and then it jumped up to 750, like in those increments. And Dave was the one putting the
Yes.
bets down on it. So
I can imagine. Yeah, that's a very worthy purchase right there. That's too
yeah,
cool.
but I think that his Ed's mom, I think she was like a baker, so they actually had another table at the con, and she was selling baked goods, and she makes like Oreo
Oh,
filling
nice.
cookies, and those things slapped. We
That's
bought a
speaking
bunch of
my
those from
language.
them.
Anything related to Oreo filling,
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah, and
You
her
ever see
his
that study they did? They did a study on rats
no,
and Oreo filling. It listed the same physiological response as when they gave the rats cocaine.
that's awesome. I mean, I can jive with
Yeah,
that.
I can feel I've never done cocaine, but I mean that's if it's I can see why it's so addictive if it's anything like Oreo filling, right?
Oh yeah, brother.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it's so cool that they got involved in our continuing his legacy, and I just have to imagine that they just realized how great the community is. And it's something that we know as people that are part of the community and go to cons and support creators and everything. But for them, it's like, I have a feeling they kind of got thrown into it, but came to a real realization of how much love and support was there and how important it was to the fans for them to keep his legacy alive. So to me, it's really cool to hear that they're leaning into that and continuing things for him.
Yeah, the first day before the con, like we will all went over to Bobby's house, so that's Ed's brother. And basically we had like a cookout, and everybody that was tabling the con was there and just kind of like mingling a little bit. And Bobby was telling me that last year, um, they kind of had like a nervous energy about what they were doing because they didn't know if it was going to work. They didn't know what the reaction was going to be to everything, so on and so forth. And then finally, like this year, they were able to kind of like settle into it, know what it was going to be. So they were able to make it bigger and better than last year. And everybody at Tabletop.com last year had basically told me like, there's a buzz about this one for sure. And you definitely could
Yeah.
feel it when you were there. Um, but yeah, dude, like uh being at Bobby's house because he had like all of Ed's stuff basically, and I got to see a lot of it and seeing like his
Wow.
his art in person is it's crazy actually. Like I saw stuff that he did when he was like a teenager and like that shit is nuts actually still. So
What an experience that you had that you can just, I mean, that's going to be a core memory that you keep with you forever, seeing that stuff.
yeah, absolutely. I've been emailing with Justine is his sister and his brother Bobby. I've been emailing back and forth with them for like the last year or so, and formed a little bit of a relationship. And then yeah, finally being able to meet them and put face to names and being able to express like my love for the kayfabe dudes and for what they've done for comics in general. Because I've said this on my streams, and I've also said this to the Piscor family, but I don't think that there's anything in comics that's happened in like the last 15 to 20 years that's like more important than like what the kayfabe dudes have done. Not necessarily like groundbreaking like the Image guys or anything like that, but I'm just saying in terms of like the amount of people that they got to make comics,
Yeah.
like nobody else has done that before. I don't like to my understanding. You know what I mean? It's like of course people get influenced by Todd or Joe Kubert or what
Yeah.
have you, but like those dudes like started up a whole like community, and that's what I was telling people. It's like look around. It's like they did this. You know what I mean? So it's like that's like a
100%.
stamp. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things where, like you said, like getting people into comics, like, and showing people all these different things, and then showing guys like me who are into comics things that they hadn't seen before
sure.
or weren't aware of. And then, me emptying my pocketbook to go and pay way too much on eBay to get at these obscure books that they would show.
Yeah, I've been there.
That happened on more than one occasion. You've been there too, right?
Oh yeah, dude. It's like anytime like they have those show and tells like where they'll go to like Ides or Phantom of the Attic, and those stores run quarter sales. So it's like you could fill up a long box for like $100 basically.
Yep.
And so it's like they'll literally show off 100 comics in a video, and I'm like, "What is that?" And it's like, "I need that." And it's like I gotta track it down on eBay. So I get it.
And that's it. And remember, they coined the term the kayfabe effect,
Yeah, it's
because
true, man. It is.
literally prices would jump up on eBay as soon as they would talk about something in their video, and then we all started went looking for it, and then the dealers, the vendors started jacking the prices up on us.
Yeah, like Steve Rude was telling me that after he had done his interview with Kayfabe, like his entire inventory was like gone, and they had to like reprint
Yeah.
everything. That's insane.
Well, I think they did a really good job of introducing to people these underappreciated legends like Steve Rude.
Sure.
Like, I don't think a lot of people, hardcore people knew about him, and knew about Nexus and all that kind of stuff, and just how prolific of an artist he is. But they're opening that up to a whole new audience, because I find this with jujitsu too. Like, a lot of times people forget or don't even know about the legends. Like, the new people in jujitsu, it's like you mention a name and they're like, "Oh, I don't know who that is." And they're like, "Bro, they literally laid the groundwork for you to be able to do what you're doing. Like, those moves that you like, that all started with that person, you know?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "You need to go study. That guy's like a 10-time world champion." And I mean, then created a lot of the things that you like to do, or set the basis for people to develop a style or a different way of doing those things, to where it evolved and grew over time. So it's the same way with art, right? Like, a lot of times the new generation, they only know about like Daniel Warren Johnson and Sean Gordon Murphy, and in the Dan Moras and all these up and coming or superstar artists of our time. But then you go back and you get your eyes open to all the people that came before. So the cartoonist kayfabe guys, they really open a lot of people's eyes in that regard.
Yeah, certainly. And that's like one of the things that I loved about them is like they'll talk about anything like comic related. So it's like not only are they going to be showing undergrounds and outlaws, but they also get into the mainstream stuff. So like they have all of the bases covered. So if you just love comics in general, it's like that's the place to be.
Yeah. Now, did you say Jim Rugg was there as well? Did he make it?
Yeah, he was there. So dug around
Nice.
with him a little bit over at Ides, but my main run-in with Jim actually was the second day of the con. So I don't know if you remember, but the first time that we had chatted, I like showed off like some guides that I had 3D printed and a couple
Yep.
other things. So I continued to make more things. So I actually have it right here. I'll just show it real quick for
Yeah,
your
show it.
video listeners out
All
there.
the
Make sure you're getting
visual
video.
people. Yeah.
So I designed a micron holder. So this
Oh,
specific,
perfect,
yeah,
dude.
so it's designed to hold microns, and then eventually I'm gonna put a arm on this and a hook, so you can hold it on like a drawing desk at a 90-degree angle, and the pens won't fall out, as you can see.
You beat me to it, bro. I said I got some ideas we need to discuss afterwards because I need a tray that can connect to the side of my drafting table. Nobody makes anything like that anymore.
Yeah,
And
so it's like,
I looked on Amazon, I looked everywhere, and you can't find it. My old drafting table had one actually built into it, and it like had a tray where you could put your pins, and everything could be at an angle and not fall out and all of that.
yeah,
And I think you're gonna invent something. It looks like you kind of already have on a smaller scale there with that.
yeah, that's like what I've been trying to do is like with these guides and stuff, because you're aware it's like supplies are stupid expensive for whatever reason. It's like this circle guide is $25, and it's like why? It's like it's just a
Yeah.
thin ass plastic that probably cost them 30 cents to make, right? So that's something
Yep.
that it's not like a problem I'm trying to solve, but it's just like I understand that pretty much every cartoonist is broke, first of all. So it's like getting cheap
For
supplies
sure. Yeah.
is like a good thing. But I showed Jim Rugg that micron holder, and like his jaw hit the floor, and he was like, "This is actually gonna solve more problems than anything." Because he's like,
Oh
I
yeah.
was telling my buddy who's into 3D printing that he should do this, and he never did. And you're sitting here holding it to me, and he's like, "This is fucking amazing." And
Yeah.
he told me to make like a nine panel grid guide. He's like, just think about it, like you just stick it down on your paper and just hit it with spray paint, and that way you don't have to like continuously measure out your panels
Oh, that
and
would be
draw
amazing,
them
man.
out. And I was like, actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another guy on here that specifically, he's the guy that created that company Wham Stand. So he
Right.
makes like the comic book stands with the interchangeable logos and stuff, really
Sure.
cool stuff. And I had mentioned to him the thing about the tray, but I know how busy he is. So he was like, he's like, oh yeah, I could come up with something, but it's like, it's going to take some design and in some R&R and R&D, research and development, to be able to
Yeah.
get that. Not R&R. That would be nice, rest and relaxation. It takes some R&D. Speaking of obscure tools, I got one for you that you could probably like really make a killing on. Have
Okay.
you ever heard of a 10-point divider?
No.
I'm gonna
I
show it to
actually
you.
maybe are you the Daniel Warren Johnson like leather measuring tool? Is that thing? Okay, yeah, I know
It's
what that
not.
is.
It's Yeah. So 10-point divider. You see it okay?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that gives the equal spacing, and that's for setting up the perspective grids and everything.
sure.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
how
saw
Dan,
DWJ wearing that, using that. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't know the name of it. I saw him using it. I'm like, what's this thing? And I searched a bunch of things and couldn't find anything. And then I found that he did like that quick perspective tutorial where he was like tutoring that kid, and he was like
Mhm.
talking to him and doing like a video for him. And he said the name of it. And I'm like, oh, dude, they're super expensive, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could look into that. It's got a lot of moving parts on it,
Yeah.
so that
It
would be kind of
does. That's the tricky part.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
it's got
tricky
like all
part.
these little rivets. Yeah. Yeah. But
For
this is a
my
German, this is an antique one. I think it's like from the early 1900s. Like but I got it on eBay for way cheaper than you can buy a new one on Amazon.
Gotcha. All my perspective grids, I use a Deleter branded perspective grid, and you just light box it and you just draw it on. That's what I use.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All the tricks, man. All the tricks to making comics, right? When
Yep.
in being a fellow artist, you know, we like to collect all the tools, even the ones we never end up using, right? Just so we we have them on hand in case we need them.
Yeah, you buy it, you're like, oh, I think that would be fun to use, and then you use it like maybe once or twice, and then it just sits in your drawer just for you to
Yeah.
look at. But you never know.
I, I have a feeling this might fall under that classification. I've got it if I need it, but am I actually going to use it? Because now I
Yeah,
got to watch a tutorial on how to properly use it.
sure.
So let's talk about creating comics and the fun of creating comics. This is actually something I thought of earlier. I was recording with another guest earlier, and her and I were talking about, like, she said, you know, I think people have lost the plot on the fact that making comics, creating comics should be fun. And she's younger than me, but she was talking about how she's going back and studying the comics from the 90s and how fun they were. And she was talking about Battle Chasers and a bunch of other stuff. And she's like, so with her new project, her creator owned project, she's going to try to bring that back. And she like really wants to capture that essence. And it made me think of you and in indie comic scene in particular, of like how much fun you're having with it. And like, isn't that the essence of what making comics really should be?
100%. People take themselves way too seriously, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I do not take myself seriously at all. But I take my art seriously, and that's the difference. So it's like
Yeah.
I think people need to kind of scale back a little bit and stop holding themselves so accountable, because it's like, I'm sure you've heard this term a million times, but it's like finished, not perfect. And it's
Yep.
like,
Her and I discussed that same quote. Yeah.
yeah,
Jake
so
Parker. Yeah.
yeah, well, I studied SVS under Jake, so I mean that's probably where I got it from.
Yep.
So I
Hey, it's still one of the best advice I've ever seen on a art YouTube channel.
yeah, I don't know. It's like, to me, I feel like there's people, they do get way too caught on things having to look perfect, things having to be like 100%. And it's never going to be like that. And I look at guys, like Mobius, Darrow, so on and so forth, that do all the noodling and all the detailing. And it's like, that's just like
Hmm.
a tick for them. And I don't think they can turn that off. And then other people try to
Yeah.
replicate that, and they spend 500 hours on a single page. And it's like, brother, it's like, you just have to get the thing done. Like, just finish it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's like, you don't have to do all that stuff. And that's something that I was talking to Mahfood about at Eddie PCon was, there's a lot of people that I brought it up to him specifically. I'm like, the last 5 years, I see a lot of Jim Mahfood ripoffs out in the wild. And is what he had said.
Definitely.
He's like, well, when I was starting up, I was ripping off Jamie Hewlett and this and that. And I kind of went into my own thing. He's like, but it becomes a problem when you never shut that off and you don't find the next influence and kind of take all of the influence
Yeah.
and make your own thing, when you're just straight up just a McFarlane ripoff, or a
Yeah.
Mahfood ripoff or whatever. And that's when it becomes an issue, is when you don't have your own identity. Then you're just going to get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. You're never going to be anything more than a good clone, right? It's like
Exactly.
you're not going to have your own sensibilities and your own style and everything. I think that's a pitfall that a lot of people run into, and it's easy to do. But like you said, I think if you have that idea that you're doing it because it's fun for you and you're creating and you're expressing yourself, that really like it really comes across in the art. I feel like Daniel Warren Johnson really captures that in his work. And like when you watch him work, you can see like he's just flying through it.
Yeah, it really, honestly, I think it just comes down to passion and your actual love for comics and making comics. Because it's like, I work 40, 50-hour weeks, and then right after that, like, I come straight up here and I start drawing. I'm editing pages
Yeah.
on Photoshop, lettering, doing whatever. Like I'm comics basically 24/7. Even when I'm working, like I'm still doing businessy stuff for comics and whatever else. And it's like a lot of people don't have that drive, and it's like I think that's kind of a detriment to a lot of people because it's like we were just saying, it's like finished, not perfect, and a vast majority of people they might have an inkling to make a comic, they might start a comic, and then it just gets thrown into a drawer, never gets finished, or they'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm sure people have reached out to you and be like, "Oh, I'm interested in making comics. Do you have any tips for me?" And this and that. And then
Yeah.
you never hear from that person ever again or ever see them post anything ever again. They just fall off the face of the
Yep.
planet. And I see that every day in communities I hang out around in.
A
And
lot of those on Reddit. I see a
yeah,
lot of those people on Reddit.
yep. And it just comes down to like, are you really passionate about it? Are you serious about it? Because if you are, you're gonna make it happen at the end of the day. So it's like
Yeah.
you can't really force that passion onto people, and that just has to come naturally. And that's something that I found out because like I in my previous interview I did with you, it's like I mentioned I went to school to be a sound engineer and music producer, and now
Mhm.
I'm making comics, and it's because like I love music, I love making music, and I love producing music. But at the end of the day, I wasn't happy doing that 24/7, and I wasn't as passionate about it. And then when I started making
Yeah.
comics, I was like, oh shit, like this is it. Like that's
Now
all I do. So
you're like, this is my actual jam.
yeah, for real. It's like it was honestly like discovering the kayfabe dudes again. It was like a lightning bolt went off in my back, and I was like, oh shit, like it's possible to actually make comics and make things that that I would enjoy, that other people would enjoy, because as you're aware, the kayfabe dudes showed you anything and everything, and I would categorize myself as a more underground guy, so it's like
Mhm.
I know that there's weirdos out there like me that reads the kind of same shit, draws the same kind of same stuff, and we kind of run around in a weirdo mob together.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's a sense of freedom that comes from being in the indie or underground scene that is hard to capture for the artists who are working for a major publisher? Because obviously they have a lot more restrictions on them. I'm sure, like, if they're working on something creator owned, I think they could have a little bit more joy in it and actually express themselves. But like, being in the indie scene and the underground scene, it sounds like from what we talked about before, like you have the freedom to pretty much do whatever, and you're not expected that your art has to be on a superior level at all times or anything like that. You can make whatever you're inspired to make, and there's a community of people who will enjoy it and share that in that fun with you.
Yeah, I think that with like a lot of mainstream comics, besides just like them being censored and not being able to do this because it has to be sold to kids and this and that. And it really comes down to whoever the editor is on the book, right, and what they're going to allow at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um, but I think for people who are getting into that Kickstarter scene or like the self-published scene, the creator-owned scene, and all that kind of stuff, I think it really comes down to the comics that have been exposed to, because a lot of people only get exposed to Marvel and DC comics and Boom and like those licensed comics and so on and so forth, and they might not know who Von Baudet is, or Arkrum, or Gary
Hmm.
Panter, Spain Rodriguez, so on and so forth. So like all these weird ass dudes from the 60s and 70s that just kind of fall by the wayside a little bit from the comics communities. um and I think if people were more exposed to underground comics and independent comics, indie comics, and what have you, that would open up a lot more avenues for people. Because sure, like especially in our Crumb comics, things get super wild with the subject matter, but it's just like
Yeah.
the aesthetic that like underground books look like you don't see that in mainstream comics. And like if you just drew like that with all the cross hatching and stippling and this and that, it's like I still think that would play in a mainstream comic, and people um should toy around with that, because it's like at the end of the day, it's like we've talked about this before. It's like a Batman comic is still a Batman comic.
Yeah.
But if you took a Batman comic and it's like, yeah, this is a Jim Lee Batman comic, but imagine if R. Crumb drew a Batman comic. It's like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? So and not only just like the like I said, the graphicness of like an R. Crumb comic and stuff, like strip that out, but just like the actual art aesthetic, I think would speak to a lot of people if they were actually exposed to that kind of stuff.
I think there's some proof in what you're saying right now. I don't know if you've seen the work that Wayshack is doing on that cul-de-sac
Sure.
book, because
Yeah.
he definitely has more of a gritty, like underground type style that he's bringing with that, and people are digging it. They're like, there's something about this that I really like, and they're going after it. So I think that kind of shows there is an audience in mainstream comics that are there for it. Like, obviously he also has like some mainstream influences. Like, I see a lot of I feel like I see a lot of Sam Keith in his work, some of his work, but I definitely see like that what you're talking about with the gritty nature and the stippling effects and all these different things, and he's using like multiple different applications of things on the pages, and really pushing the limits of what is considered to be mainstream comic art.
Yeah, I mean, Wayshack is a pretty good example, to be honest with you. And I really can't think of like anybody else that's like really in like mainstream comics that's really like pushing the barrier. Because I would still like Daniel Warren Johnson. Don't get me wrong, that the dude slays at art like any day of the week. But I would still
Yeah,
kind of categorize that as more mainstream because it would still play in like a Marvel book or what have you. Obviously, he was working on Transformers forever. And like
yeah,
Wayshack, I think he's kind of like a dude that you could probably throw onto like a Batman book or something, and it would be amazing.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, he has that vibe. He definitely is bringing that indie underground vibe. Nick Dragotta to some extent as well. Like, he's like, dude, I just got the work in progress edition of the Absolute Batman, the
Mhm.
artist edition today. I picked it up at my local shop, and it's like, this big, and it's printed on this paper. It smells like a old comic. It's really cool, and it's all the scans of the full size scans of the original art. Like, looking at some of his stuff, I see some indie type of influences in his work as well.
Dude, I would love to buy more artist editions and like treasuries and stuff, but there is just such a pain in the ass to store. It's like I have nowhere to put them.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, this one is on paper. It's paper stock, and it's like not as big as like the IDW ones,
Sure.
because like this shelf is like ready to collapse. I think I counted it. I've got like at least 12 or 14 IDW artist editions stacked on
Jeez.
top of it. And then I have another shelf over there that has seven currently stacked on it. And they take way too much room. But this one, I was like, oh, cool. It's just it's one issue. It's on that heavier stock paper and everything. It's not too unwieldy. So yeah, I feel you on that though, and I'm a sucker for them. I was talking with my previous guest today about that, because she collects all of them too. And we're like, we're out of room. Like, every time I see one, I buy it. Now I'm having to pile stuff on the floor.
Yeah, it's a sickness, man. I have a Dick Tracy book that I wish I could remember what the name of the company is, but it's a subsidiary to Fantagraphics.
Okay.
I can't remember what the name of it is right now, but they reprinted a bunch of Dick Tracy newspaper stuff, and it's printed at newspaper size, so the book is also newspaper size, like it would be if it was
Oh,
folded
wow.
out. And it that book has
Dang.
to be like I'm not even joking. It's probably like 20 by 15 inches or something. It's massive.
Yeah.
Biggest book I have in my collection. I'm like, I don't have anywhere to put it, and it would just sit on a coffee table because I don't have a shelf big enough to hold it.
Speaking of big art, have you seen the size that David Finch drew that Skin Breaker book at?
Yeah, he's cracked out.
Insanity. Insanity. You want to talk about a detail freak, man.
Yeah, it's like just holding it up in front of him, and it's like that page is literally as big as you are, dude.
Yeah, it is. He's talking about keeping it all too. It sounds like keeping all the original art. I wouldn't be surprised though. He's going to get some insane offers on it. He'll probably potentially get rid of some of it, but yeah, you want to talk about a labor of love, man. That guy spent 8 years on 8 issues to create that with Kirkman. And there's a treasury size one of that I ordered, so I'm excited to see it at the bigger format.
Yeah.
Um, I paid way too much money to get the San Diego exclusive preview one, the black and white,
Sure.
that's double signed by him and Kirkman, and just like the detail of the pages, it's too in black and white. It's too much for a standard size book, and I go, the colorist is critical on this book working because it all is like a blur almost, like even with him spotting the blacks perfectly and everything else, he's like drawing like singular little leaves on plants and everything. And then I saw the color, what the colorist did on some of those pages, and I'm like, okay, it works. Like this is, they have that I think her name's Annalisa Leone. She's the same one that's coloring Battle Beast. She's phenomenal, and she colored it. And I saw it. I'm like, okay, she understood the assignment and made this even more readable. Because that had to be a tall order.
Yeah, they did an interview with West Coast Dave actually. Um,
I saw that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and they were talking about how they don't think that David Finch was saying that he might not even use another colorist period on the rest of his work, and that he might just keep hiring her to color his stuff.
she's
So
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, I reached out to her to come on here, and she's a little shy, not confident in her English.
sure.
And so she said she'd really like to come on, but she asked, could I like give her some questions ahead of time so that she could be prepared with her English to answer the questions? I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'll do that for you, change up the format a little bit to make you comfortable, because I'd love to pick her brain, because I feel like she kind of came out of nowhere.
100%. Yeah, and like colorists
Yeah,
don't get a lot of love in the comics community, which I think is a bunch of bullshit. And it's like even on the
me
Inkpulse
too.
like podcasts and stuff, it's like they rarely have colorists, and people in like the Discord are like, get colorists, get colorists, get colorists, and still
Yeah.
haven't really got any. So like, yeah, she would be a big grab, dude.
Yeah, I want to get her on here. I have Alex Sinclair said he's going to come on here, so he's
Cool.
just super busy though, uh, and he's like coloring everything for Marvel right now.
Yeah.
Like he's doing the Thing book. He just did the Deadpool, Batman. He was telling me, he's like, man, I'm so used to coloring 20 to 22 pages. When I had this bigger one to color, it took me forever. Like, yeah, because he's got a commission he's mailing out to me. I had gotten a Hulk commission from him back at Emerald City Comic Con, and it's, he's so far behind. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get it. Now it's finished, but it's just a matter of it getting mailed. So I was talking to him yesterday, and he's like, yeah, I'll get it mailed out. And like, all right, well, we got to get you scheduled for the podcast now. So he'll be my third colorist that I've had on. So I had two other colorists on, and it's like you said, so underappreciated. Like the colorist, I feel like they're kind of along the lines of the last line of defense in really making the artwork speak. And like there's so much to setting the mood with color. And even I had talked to one of them about, like, if you're working with a more amateur artist, you can even use color to help guide the person's eye through the page where they need to look next. So there's so much to it. Would you agree that like colorists and inkers are probably some of the most underappreciated pieces of the art teams on books?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like this is just an example. It's like how does something end up having two left hands when it's like maybe the penciler drew that, and it's like it's on the inker to fix that at the end of the day because he's finished
Yep.
it. So if the inker doesn't correct that, that's on the inker, I think. And then
Yep.
same thing with coloring. It's like when digital coloring first started in the 90s, like it would be amazing art, and then the coloring would just ruin it. So it's like if you're not a
Totally.
colorist, it's like it's gonna ruin the work on top of that. So it's like yeah, so it's obviously it's a team effort, but at the end of the day, if the first two things were good and the coloring is bad, it's like it kind of washes out everything. So it's like the colorist has to hold their
Totally.
own for sure.
Yeah, and sadly I've started noticing on more recent books, I have a feeling that they're kind of outsourcing to like some of the coloring houses, and there's I've seen some things that are really disturbing that I feel like a professional colorist should know. Like if the artist has a shadow over here, but then you color in a shadow on the other side of the nose. I'm like, wait a second, how's that working?
Yeah, it's weird, like the disconnect you see. Sometimes it's like light sources, like you said, are like the biggest thing that I also notice. It's like, all right, well, the light is
Yeah.
coming in from this direction, but for some reason you're like coloring a shadow going the opposite direction, and it makes no sense. I collect
Yeah.
the Dynamite Powerpuff Girls comics because first of all, they're great comics, so I would recommend to read them to anybody that's out there. But there's an
Nice.
issue that Cat Staggs had drawn, and just like the colorist on there, and like one of the panels like completely botched the shadows, and I was like, "What is this?" Like it's like it's so
Yeah.
bad, like it's like you notice it like right away, like you just see it at a glance. That's not what you want. So
Yeah, I wonder some of those situations because you always hear those stories about like jam sessions just to meet a deadline. It's like, somebody handed it to their 15-year-old brother who knows how
yeah.
to basically use Photoshop. Like, hey, finish this panel. We got to get this done.
Hey man, it's like you gotta hit deadlines with those books, you know what I mean? So it's like I get it,
Yeah.
but at the same time though, it's like, come
As
on, like you
somebody
know
with an
better.
artistic eye,
Yeah,
it drives you nuts, doesn't it?
it does. It drives me insane actually.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your current works, man,
Yeah,
because I know you got some things getting ready to kick off here, and we want to make sure to let everybody know what they can be looking for and how they can support it.
sure. So the last like I don't know 18 weeks or so, I've been working on a four-part miniseries, comic book, obviously. Originally, it started out as a 10-pager, and then it rolled into a full graphic novel. And then I was like, I'd rather do floppies, because the way that I see it is I can still collect all of the floppies into a hardcover and sell it that way. So
Yeah.
you're getting the best of both worlds. And everybody I talked to was like, make floppies, brother, because if people that are in our community prefer to have floppies, I think. So that's the
Yeah.
direction I decided to go. So I took the 120 pages or whatever that the whole series is going to end up being and broke it down into single issues. And going ahead of that, I already knew that I had I read the book to a point to where I knew that I could have it broke up into sections if I decided to do that. So I kind of pre-planned it to do that. So yeah, it's going to be a four-part miniseries. The first issue is currently up on Kickstarter as a pre-launch page. I'm probably going to
Perfect.
launch it like the second week of October. But it is up there for you to pre-back. It's called White Line Deadline, and it takes place in 1970s San Francisco, and it follows two street level coke dealers. Basically, it's a play on Gone in 60 Seconds and like Dirty Harry and like those style of movies.
Yeah.
So basically it's old mentor, retired guy, and younger mentee. Hit a last big score, and then the older guy's like, "Hey, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna retire." Retires. 10 years passes. The younger guy finds himself in a shitty situation, drug deal gone bad. Very much Gone in 60 Seconds. Now it's like, "Hey, brother, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta pay back, this money and the coke that you took from me in X amount of time, or we're gonna, murder your ass, basically." So,
We're right back to Coke, aren't we? Right
yeah,
back to Coke, the Oreo
apparently
filling. We
this is a
came full
theme.
circle.
But yeah, so it's like the old mentee has to call in his mentor 10 years later to help dig him out of the problem. So that's basically what the book is about and kind of how it starts. And then
Yeah.
of course I have a bunch of underground nonsense in there. So there's a character in the book called Mrs. Schwartz. She's an old Jewish lady that's a horn dog. So her
Oh
dialogue
no.
is pretty interesting.
You
I
got
actually
some
got,
saucy dialogue.
yeah, I got pages here. I'll show you a page of good old Mrs.
Oh,
Schwartz.
this is going to be an exclusive.
Yeah, here she is for you, just with her
Oh, there you
walker,
go.
her long titties hanging down there.
She's ready. She's ready to get it.
Yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun doing it, and I decided to actually like I'll just deal with this shit later. But I decided to
No
show a lot
worries.
more of personality into my work. Because it's like obviously coming from that underground scene, things just go off the wall, especially the humor stuff. And I
For
decided
sure.
to lean more into that and also show a little bit more of my background. So it's like originally I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and that's where White Castle was from originally. And I have a
Right.
lot of White Castle stories growing up, being a high school stoner and 2 a.m. getting stoned and going
Going.
with my buddies at 2 a.m. getting a crave case. So there's some White
Yep.
Castle stuff going on in this issue as well that gets kind of attached,
Nice.
and it's actually based off a true story, believe it or not. And I don't want to give it away
Oh,
yet,
nice.
but it's
No,
something I
don't
went
give it
through.
away.
So yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun doing it, and I have all 4 of the issues completely thumbnailed. They're
Oh, sweet.
completely scripts. Everything's done. I've already started the second issue actually. So this issue is completely finished at this point. The reason why I haven't started up the Kickstarter yet is because I'm waiting for more pre-backers. So that way I
Yeah.
get a healthy first day, and then as well, I'm still waiting on a couple of variant covers from a couple of people to actually get the page activated. But yeah, I'm
And
gonna be
you're waiting on my pinup too.
yeah, you son of a bitch. No.
I
I
know.
it's no big deal, dude. Like I'm still waiting on like two pen-ups, and I'm waiting on my last variant cover. I've
Yeah.
been slowly sharing the variant covers on YouTube, and I actually posted a short earlier today with the 3 variants that I already have. If you haven't seen it already, it's up. I have some
Awesome.
killer to make an art for me. Add-ons are going to be also pretty insane. Like I'm going to be offering like the guides, the micron holders, and then as well like these T-shirts I've been printing and making. This is the cover of my book. So
Nice.
yeah, I actually here it is. So I
Boom. The
yeah
original.
I
Are you
so
selling your originals for it, or are you holding on to them?
I am gonna sell them, but I'm waiting until the book is actually out to sell the things.
Yeah.
I was at before I went to Eddie P Con, I was like, this is gonna be the perfect con to sell original art at, and I drug my all of the previous comics that I've made and the original art and everything like that, completely filled up the binder. So I'm actually gonna need another
Right.
binder to put this stuff into. But yeah, I'm not gonna sell anything until the book is actually out. Um,
Yeah. No spoilers.
it's not necessarily that I'm worried about spoilers. I just think that it's weird that like I have pages kind of floating around out for something that's not already published. And I think if it once it
Yeah.
does get published, you're able to um ask a better price for it, and then plus you can use that as an
True.
incentive that this is published work. So
Yeah. And plus, nobody can be mad at you because you're selling the art for it before they've received the book.
yeah, absolutely. And to touch base back onto the Kickstarter, it's like I mentioned, like the book is completely finished, like 100%. Like I'm literally just waiting on the couple of pinups in the variant. The variants or whatever, like that's just or the pinups or whatever that'll come while the Kickstarter is going. I need the
Yeah.
variants. But I don't want to be one of those people like we talked about it before. It's like you've done Kickstarters and to where it's like you wait 6 months to actually get the book, and sometimes it never comes. And
Exactly.
people make
Yeah.
excuses on why they can't get it to you and life happens and this and that, and it's like I wanted my stuff to be completely finished before I even like the book was done before I even put the pre-launch up to give you
Yeah.
perspective.
That's very smart.
So it's like I have all of my ducks in a row, so that way we'll like the thing is done and it gets funded, like I can send it straight to the printer and get people's books in their hands within 2 or 3 weeks. Like I'm not messing around with like
Yeah.
get people books in 2 or 3 months. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be a quick turnaround.
Yeah. And that's kind of unheard of, man. Like, sadly, I feel like a lot of these Kickstarters, it is very much they haven't even started it or they're barely into it. And then I've waited 2 or 3 years for Kickstarters. Like, thankfully, I've never gotten burned on one. Like,
Mm.
they've always fulfilled. But yeah, to the point where like I had forgotten completely about it. And then it shows up and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's that thing from 3 years ago that I backed.
Yeah, when I was
Yeah,
at
so
Eddie
that's cool
PCon,
that you got it all done.
yeah, when I was at Eddie PCon, I was talking to other people that have done Kickstarters in the past and that are maybe thinking about doing Kickstarters, and they're giving advice to somebody like, "Oh, you don't even need to have the book finished; just like get it up there as soon as possible, and then and then they take the money and blah blah blah, and go through the process, and then you can just finish it after the fact." And I'm like, "No, like that is the worst advice to give to
No.
somebody. It's like that just what not only
Yeah,
does that make
horrible.
you look bad as a business person." But it also makes you look bad as in a community because it's like if I ever wanted to go to that guy and ask him to do me something for me, it's like is it going to take you six
Yeah,
months to get me a page? It's like no, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Terrible
Yeah, no
advice.
way. Hey, am I allowed to share who the characters are based off of in
Yeah,
loosely based off
yeah,
of their
sure.
looks?
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, man, because it gave me like good reference to look at. So the older mentor character is loosely based off of Steve McQueen,
Right.
and the younger guy, the mentee, he is based off of Keith Richards.
Right.
Finding pictures of Keith Richards young
Mm-hmm.
it proved difficult because he's been around forever. Yeah, when you search Keith Richards, you get all the old, haggard Keith Richards,
and it doesn't
then
help. I mean, the dude's looked like that his entire life too. So he's like one of those.
Yeah,
He's 70 since he came out of the womb. So
I found a couple and he looks completely different, man.
yeah, dude.
In those older those when he was young, but I found a couple and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna loosely base off of this, not trying to make either character look exactly like him, but just trying to capture a little bit of the essence, right?
Yeah, and like the reasoning why I chose those two guys for model reference is because Bullet, the movie, Steve McQueen movie, is a big influence on the book itself. 70s, well, it's like
One of
late
the
60s.
best car chase.
Yeah,
one
dude.
of the best car chase scenes ever with him actually driving it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like that was a big influence onto the book itself, and then obviously Keith Richards is just a cokehead, so that was like the main reasoning. So it's like try to get somebody who would like fit into that space that's kind of like a I don't know, like an outlaw, just kind of a wild personalities kind of guy. And I was like, who better than Keith Richards, right? So it's like might as well.
Totally, man.
Yeah.
So you said the Kickstarter, you're basically hoping to launch it officially in the second week of October?
Yeah, I was gonna launch it the first week of October but then I was at Eddie Con and Jim Mahfood has slipped to me that he's turning his Arachnid Enforcer Kickstarter on October 1st, so I'm avoiding that.
There you go. Yeah.
Especially since we
don't want to be.
Communities, I don't want to get buried by that because I'll end up getting buried easily. So.
Oh, he's prolific, man.
I actually
he's definitely. Oh, nice.
Yeah, he gave me a original Eddie Con. It's a Scooby-Doo drawing that he did.
Badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like it when he's on with the ink pulp guys and everything.
Yep. Yeah, Jim's an awesome dude, honestly. Like anytime I've ever emailed him, like he's always given me advice. And I don't know if you've ever used one of these bad boys before, but the Pilot Parallels.
I don't think I have used that. Is that like kind of square nib or whatever?
Exactly. Yep. So that's what this is.
Yeah, I seen those on Daniel Warren Johnson. I've got something similar, but not the exact model.
But they're incredible pens. And when I first saw Jim using them on a stream, I was like, dude, what is that? Because he was filling inks with it, getting super fine lines with it, getting super thick lines with it. You literally everything with it. And I was like, what is that? And that was the first time I ever emailed him. And that was probably a year and some change ago. And he emailed me back. And ever since then, it's like he always gives me advice. And at the con, like he was giving me all sorts of tips and pointers. And he's just a good ass dude. Like that's all I really can say about Jim. Like he's solid. Yeah.
And led to you collecting more tools.
Yes. I mean,
more tools.
Thankfully, the parallel pens, I use that on basically every single page. It's like notorious, and like the cool thing with it is, they come with like little ink things. So we're just gonna have a visual representation here. I guess.
Please, I love it.
So they come with these ink cartridges, right?
Okay.
And this is a red one, which I never use, but
right.
There's like a little door on the top of these, and you can force the door open and pour your own ink inside these cartridges after they run out.
Sweet. So it's refillable.
Yeah, so I just refill them up with
whether they intended that or not. It is refillable. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, they definitely did not intend that because and people actually sell adapters that you can swap out the cartridges for, and then it's like, oh, you can fill your own inks in it. It's like, I'm not spending my money on that shit. It's like, I can just do it here. It's like literally just grab a toothpick and just force the door open and then pour ink inside of it and just push the toothpick back down, and then that's it. And
that's a good DIY.
Yeah, dude, I use it literally every single page. You can buy like a pack of 4 of them for like $40, I want to say. So they're not terrible. They're
Yeah, that's not
considering
bad.
the price. So it's like I highly recommend to pick one up. And if you are gonna pick one up, like get the blue or the green cap. I can't remember the sizes, but like the super fine ones, you're kind of like get into minutia a little bit with more like
Yeah.
calligraphy, but like the big fat ones, like I said, you can get hair thin lines. You can get like inch thick lines with those things. And I use them for everything. So
Now you are going to be responsible for me going and picking some up after we get off of here, because I
good.
got to have every tool, whether I use it or not, I got to have it on hand. Man, Sam, I always have so much fun talking to you, dude.
Yeah, same. You can have me back anytime, and I'll jump at the chance. Wouldn't even think about it
I'm
twice,
going
brother.
to for sure. I want to have you back on when we can officially announce the launch of the Kickstarter and everything and get the word out to people. Maybe, what would be fun is, since I am dabbling in the live things, I haven't done a live podcast yet. Maybe we can experiment with that and actually do a live show to celebrate the launch and to drive people to it.
I'm certainly down to do that. I do live streams myself as well, so going live doesn't bother me by any means. I don't know if you know who Lauren Marshall is at all, but
I believe I've heard the name.
yeah, so she's done a bunch of like variant covers for IDW, like Turtles stuff.
Yeah, that's where I know it
On the
from. Yeah.
Phantom book right now. But I'm going to be on her show here in the near future, and it's going to be like a live art drawing. So I'll be
Oh,
on that
cool.
here in a couple weeks. So yeah, dude, if you want to spin a live show, like I'm completely down. So if you want to sit and shoot the shit about comics, or if you want to draw or what have you,
Oh,
like I'm
yeah,
100%
yeah.
down to do it.
Yeah, we just did our first drawing live stream on here. We're trying to coordinate another one. It's just a matter of getting everybody on the same calendar, and
Yeah.
making sure we can all make it. But yeah, I'd love to do something like that. Do you use StreamYard for your live stuff usually, or are you doing it through OBS or?
Yeah, all of it's through OBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one nice thing about StreamYard is there's a way to like multicast it to both channels at the same time, but we could probably figure out how to do that through OBS too, where you could have it live on yours and I could have it live on mine. That's
Yeah.
always kind of cool. Just get it in front of as many eyes as we possibly can.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I am 100% down to do that, and it's like even if it was at 2 a.m., it would make a difference to me. Like I'll get up and do it.
See,
So
you're like me. It sounds like you're a fellow night owl.
yeah, I'm a crackhead, dude. Not legitimately, but you know what I mean. It's one of those things.
It's just Oreos.
Yeah, exactly. It's
It's just
just Oreos.
Oreos. Awesome, Sam. Well, listen, is there anything else that you would like to announce here before we go? And also, I remembered that you do not have like Instagram or anything like that. You are mainly solely focused on YouTube, and I
Yeah,
believe you have a website too, right?
that is correct. Yeah, it's just my
Yeah.
name, so it's sam-mcclurg.com, and that'll send you straight to my homepage on my website. I have everything linked right on my homepage right now. So if you want to get to my YouTube, my art page, my store, my Kickstarter as well, all that stuff is literally right there. So it's really accessible and easy for you to get. I have been in the process of overhauling my store's page. So that's something that I've been working on like the last week or so. And I finally like have comics up there and I have a little bit of prints up there. But this weekend, I bought a new light box. I'm going to be snapping photos of like my guides, my micron holders, my stencils, and all that kind of stuff
Nice.
that I've been making. I'm going to get that up on the website. So hopefully by like Monday, Tuesday timeframe, I'll have that up there. So people will be able to go to my website and pick that stuff up. Um, but yeah, besides the Kickstarter, there really isn't too much going on. Actually, the I have the third anthology, so that's going to be coming up here soon. So that's going to be running from October 1st to November 1st. Is going to be the deadline for it.
Okay.
We're running 2 to 10 pages, and then one pagers are either going to be pinups or we'll repurpose it for like a front cover, back cover, what have you. And we decided, I should say I decided that we're going to be doing like comedy / underground. Because
Okay.
I started rolling around in my head when I was at the con, like what I wanted to do for the anthology. I didn't know if I wanted to do another Ken Stein thing. He's my dental assassin Frankenstein character that I did in my previous 2 books. I decided that I wanted to do something else. I'm not going to say what it is yet because I just want to see what people's reactions are
Okay.
going to be. but it's
Yeah.
definitely it's an out there idea. And I'll say that.
Awesome. Awesome, brother. Well, thank you again for being on today and to be a returning guest. You are amongst a very few returning guests that we've had on here. And I look forward to the next time. Hang out with me for a moment where I let everybody know. Everybody, you're listening to the podcast, which means you found us. You're either listening or watching. I greatly appreciate you guys. If you want to like, subscribe, share with a friend, that's awesome. The podcast now has an official Patreon. We've got a ton of exclusive member benefits that you can get on. We're going to be doing some Patreon exclusive episodes, some Patreon exclusive lives. Going to have stickers on some of the tiers. We got all sorts of Nerdy Mewzings goodies. So make sure you check that out. Patreon.com/Nerdy Mewzings. And in the meantime, everybody, keep it nerdy.